This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 257, How Frugality Buys Freedom. Spend Less to Live More, Part 1, by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. And welcome back to the program, everybody. This is, of course, Optimal Finance Daily, and I am Dan. I'm here each Monday through Friday, and we turn some of the best personal finance blogs on the planet into little podcasts that you can take with you on the go and save yourself a lot of time. The best part, of course, is that it is all free to you. And today we are back with a post from Money Boss. It's a little on the long side, so like I always do with longer posts, I'm going to break it up into pieces. I'll read half of it today and then wrap up the rest tomorrow. And before we get into it, I have another podcast that I want you to check out. It's the Creating Wealth podcast with Jason Hardman. You can learn a new slant on investing and hear from experts in the field. It is definitely worth a listen. So come by oldpodcast.com/wealth to learn more about it. But for now, let's get right to our post as we optimize your life. How Frugality Buys Freedom. Spend Less to Live More, Part 1, by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. Time is money, my father used to tell me when I was a boy. He didn't like how I dawdled with my chores. I didn't understand what he meant back then. To me, time and money were two very different things. As a kid, I had lots of time, but very little money. Now, as a 40-something man who has written about personal finance for the past decade, I get it. Dad was right. Time is money, and money is time. This notion is the central lesson of Your Money or Your Life, the personal finance classic by Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin. They write, "Money is something we choose to trade our life energy for. You are the one who determines what money is worth to you. It is your life energy. You pay for money with your time. You choose how to spend it." The authors say that because you spend time in order to earn money, you're also spending time whenever you make a purchase. This has some powerful implications. When you treat time as money and money as time, you can better evaluate how to allocate your dollars and your hours. When you know how much your time is worth, you can decide when it makes sense to outsource specific jobs. When you spend less, you can work less. In a very real way, frugality buys time. But on a deeper level, frugality buys freedom. Financial freedom, freedom from worry, freedom to spend your time however you choose. Because of the time factor, Dominguez and Robin argue that you don't earn as much as you think you do. You may be paid $33 an hour, but your real hourly wage is less than that, possibly much less. How to compute your true hourly wage. So let's say we have a friend named Joe, and that he's a plumber. Joe currently makes the national average for his profession, about $53,000 each year. His nominal wage is approximately $25 per hour. Based on these figures, if Joe the plumber decides to buy a $500 iPad, he'd need to exchange 20 hours of his time for it. 20 hours worked times $25 per hour equals $500 total wages. But it's not that simple. Joe's real hourly wage isn't $25, it's something lower. Think about your job. Think of all the things you do and the money you spend that you wouldn't if you didn't work. How long does it take to drive to the office? How much does gas cost? Are you required to own a suit or a uniform? Do you have to take vacations to cope with the stress of your career? Your Money or Your Life lists 8 such possible job expenses, including a few which might be applicable to Joe. Commuting. Joe's office is 20 miles from home. Every day he spends an hour total commuting to and from work in his 2010 Toyota Camry, which costs about 58 cents per mile to operate. His weekly commute costs him 5 hours and $116, which is 58 cents times 200 miles. Clothing. It doesn't take Joe extra time to get dressed in the morning, but it does cost him a little extra money. Several times each year, he has to buy new work clothes because the old ones wear out. Maybe he spends $500 annually on work clothes. Food. Joe might take a sack lunch if he were on his own, but he works with a partner who prefers fast food. Joe likes McDonald's and Burger King too, so he's happy to go along for the ride. Each day, Joe spends about $5 and 1 hour for lunch. So each week, Joe's job costs him about 10 extra hours for his travel time and lunch breaks. That's about 500 hours each year. He's also shelling out $140 every week on miscellaneous job-related expenses. That's approximately $7,000 per year. Now that he knows how much time and money Joe spends on the job, he can compute his true hourly wage. The equation is simple. 1. First, Joe subtracts his work-related expenses from his annual salary to find his actual earnings. Using the figures above, Joe is actually earning $46,000 per year, which is $53,000 base minus $7,000 for commuting, clothing, and food. 2. Next, he computes the total time he spends on his job, including business trips and Christmas parties, etc. Joe leaves the house at 6:30 in the morning and doesn't return until 4:30 in the afternoon, which means he's devoting 50 hours per week to work, or about 2,500 hours per year. 3. Finally, Joe divides his actual earnings by the total number of hours he spends each week on work-related tasks. It takes Joe 2,500 hours per year to earn $46,000. His true hourly wage is $18.40. Not bad, but still much lower than the $25 per hour he thinks he's earning. A new $500 iPad doesn't cost Joe 20 hours of work, it costs him 27 hours of work. To earn money for anything he wants to purchase, Joe has to spend 35% more time on the job than he thinks he does. If you were to include taxes in the calculations, things would cost even more. Note, Joe's $25 hourly wage is a pre-tax number, but his spending is in after-tax money. He probably makes close to $20 per hour after taxes, which means his actual hourly wage is something like $14.16. So that's about half what he thinks it is. That new iPad will cost him 35 hours of work, almost an entire week. Hope it's worth it. While most people trade time on the job in order to gain money, this concept can also be applied in reverse. Hear how in tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled How Frugality Buys Freedom, Spend Less to Live More by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. And I'm going to finish reading this post to you in Wednesday's show. But once again, to learn a new slant on investment and for some more great personal finance content like you've been getting here, come by oldpodcast.com/wealth and check out the Creating Wealth podcast with Jason Hartman. Jason brings some new approaches and exciting techniques to the table to protect your money while building passive income. As a self-made millionaire with over 20 years of financial experience, he brings on a wide variety of guests to share their wisdom, and that includes Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Steve Forbes, Jenny Craig, and many others. You can find the Creating Wealth podcast in your favorite podcast app and come by oldpodcast.com/wealth to learn more. Jason is helping us out to keep this show going, so it would really be great if you could return the favor and visit him too. Again, just visit oldpodcast.com/wealth for more info and to further optimize your finances. And that's going to do it for us today. I'll be back tomorrow to wrap up this post. So stay tuned for that in the Wednesday show, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.